Sports.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 10, then Thursday, snow with a high of 33. Pick up your elegant box of French macarons from Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth, conveniently located off Highway 169 and 36th Avenue. Check out the store in person or place your online order at nicolettesmacarons.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, he didn't cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we have our friend Arvina Martion from Wisconsin, and we don't hold that against you because we're on like civic media all over Wisconsin, so it's a good thing you're on, and thank you so much. And I just want to say Arvina Martion is the first Native person ever elected to Madison, Wisconsin's Common Council, and was elected vice president in 2020 by her peers. You're an enrolled member of Ho-Chunk Nation and is Stockbridge-Munsee too, and you've worked in the Native community throughout your entire career, and I know things are happening and things are really busy with you, but really appreciate you coming in and checking in and really discussing what's going on. Thank you so much, Arvina. I'm unmuting you. Welcome. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for having me and for unmuting me.
Yeah. Well, a lot going on. There's things happening that are just I don't even, it's worse than being in the upside down world. It's really affecting us. And I look at the news nationally, Arvina, and they're giving kudos to Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, especially for fighting back in a peaceful, prayerful way, like we did at Standing Rock. What are you hearing in Wisconsin about how we're dealing with this? Well, the federal government's attacking us and trying to take us over.
Yeah, I think that that view is pretty universal. The folks in Minneapolis, especially the regular everyday people that are trying to help in whatever way that they can in this situation, is has been kind of a model. And part of me, like, just talking about that, or you bringing it up right now, just kind of made me think, like, what the federal government's, like, Minneapolis, we've got this kind of Midwest nice, Minnesota nice reputation, of culturally in this region. We're pretty, we're not super confrontational unless it's regarding football, and and but people are peaceful, but are not going to stand for illegal actions, actions of the federal government coming to terrorize citizens. These are folks that are not inclined to just start, getting violent. This is a community of people that are trying to be as proactive as they can, and are resisting, not just by doing things like watching, and letting people know, alerting people to presence of ICE, but doing things like helping their neighbors who are immigrants, even legal immigrants, who are scared to leave their houses, people running errands, picking up groceries, and helping their neighbors out. And it's that kind of community, and way of thinking that I think is really kind of, it's probably not the response that the president expected. Maybe the thought was everybody just drops everything and acquiesces, or everybody just gets enraged and fights back in a physical sense. And that's not what's happened. People have stayed, I almost said polite, but that's not the word. Stayed peaceful, and
Yeah.
have been working in a way that is trying to tone down the rhetoric and de-escalate situations. And I expect nothing less from our neighbors to the Northwest, and to be fighting for their rights and the rights of their community and their neighbors, but in a way that does not escalate in so many words, I guess.
Yeah, Arvina, do you remember we had a real big issue during George Floyd with people coming from, well, Wisconsin and outstate Minnesota, coming in and raising heck and, burning flags and being all crazy. And, we talk about, especially with George Floyd, that we would not, like, burn down our only pharmacy in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Things like that didn't make sense. So we here at Native Roots Radio, and I'm sure you too, Arvina, want to talk about, keeping safe, but also keeping an eye open to what's going on.
Yeah, and this is fairly common, that events happen and it turns for the violent, or, the situation escalates. I know that when in Madison previously during the Halloween season, this is obviously like multitudes of scales less important than what's happening now. But, Halloween's on State Street here in Madison turned turned aggressive. And they found that a lot of the people that were participating and escalating things and getting violent were the people that were not, and like throwing rocks and like breaking glass and stuff, were not the people that live here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's it's outside agitators that just want to agitate, and they have no connection to the community, so they have no care. It doesn't matter to them if a community center is bombed. It's right. Like it doesn't matter.
That reminds me, Arvina, that reminds me of the people that comment on stuff, is that they're one step away from coming in and doing a raising heck, but they're raising heck on social media, and it's hard to ignore, but they're a small percentage, but very loud. Hey, we only got a couple minutes in this segment, and I wanted to bring this up to you before we get any further. I wanted to give you a quick happy 10th anniversary. It popped up on my social media of the fight for the mounds that we all, and it was a beautiful thing. We came from the Twin Cities to protest at the Capitol and really try and push that bill through to fight for the mound. And on the way back, we heard that the good bill passed. So I wanted to say happy anniversary.
That was a great day. And it was a great day of Ho-Chunk people, other Native people, our allies coming together again in a peaceful way. And that day was so cold.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. I mean, that is like my pervasive memory of that day, was how cold it was. And I remember when we finally went inside, and I believe the drum that we had came into the building singing the Bear Clan song. And that I remember walking in and feeling very overwhelmed by hearing that song and the way it reverberates in like the acoustics of our Capitol building. Because if you're not familiar, our Capitol is big and has, a lot of stone, granite, marble walls and all of that kind of thing. And just the sound was so powerful that you could feel it bouncing off the walls and going into your chest, while at the same time you couldn't feel your feet because those little heat pouches that everybody had didn't work as well as we thought they would.
We got to take a quick break and we can revisit that a little more. But one of the things that I remember all those things. I remember the singing. I remember marching around the Capitol. And I also remember really, really cold pizza when we got there. That was a great day. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martion, and she's our political consultant from Wisconsin and all over Turtle Island. And we're going to be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Hoa! The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations in Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present. earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here with our friend Arvina Martion, our political consultant from Madison, Wisconsin, but all over Turtle Island. And you know, it's always great to have you on and talk about these things. You see, Susan put up that she remembers that cold day, too.
Yeah, and all the people, like, we had massive turnout that day, you know, but despite the cold. I know the Ho-Chunk Nation helped transport people, you know, get people from their communities to Madison. I live in Madison, so it was easy for me to get down there. But, you know, it was real dedication to something very important, which was protecting our mounds, and doing it through, you know, in a situation that wasn't comfortable. You know, it's one thing to go out and rally on a lovely day where the sun is out, there's a nice breeze, but it's something different to come when, you know, the temperatures are hovering around 0 or going below. I can't remember how cold it was. I just remember how cold it felt. And
it was super sunny, so that's even colder.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Capitol is on the isthmus in Madison between Lake Mendota and Lake Monona. And where there are buildings and where there's streets, those become like wind tunnels. And the wind gets really, like, way more intense on those roads that go between the lakes and cross the Capitol. So, like, anytime you walked any place on the Capitol grounds and saw those or were near those streets, the wind would be even more biting.
Yeah, I remember too, and that President Greendeer was president again then for the first time, and he was around the drum too. And there's just things that I remember, but about that. And I mean, 10 years ago, good on Ho-Chunk, and good on our government, and good on all the people that came and showed up, because, like you said, there was a lot of people there.
Yeah, and another thing that I remember from that day was one of my judges, that means dad in Ho-Chunk, one of my judges, Robert Mann, who is one of our, you know, more traditional leaders from our warrior clan, came out to speak, and he came out wearing his regalia on that day that was very, very cold, and he had, you know, exposed skin, you know, and he stayed there and he spoke and did not let any of the elements deter him or make him project in a different manner. He came out and spoke the truth, and he spoke with wisdom, and there was a picture taken that day of him standing in front of the entrance by the West Wing of the Capitol. Mm-hmm. The West Wing is where the State Assembly meets, and that picture was so powerful. I mean, I still remember it, just that image and the power that that image showed, of our resolve as Ho-Chunk people, and again our allies, to protect the things that are important to us. And yeah. I don't want to get between a Ho-Chunk and supporting the cause that they truly believe in. You know, we go hard. I mean, all as Native people, we don't half shinch things, so to speak. And we go and it's because we believe these things are important, and so we don't shy away, and we continue to fight even when it's bitingly cold. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Hey, I want to quick change the subject for a second here. And, I remember when Clinton won the first presidency, and the big battle cry for them was, "It's the economy, stupid." And I don't know if you remember that, but
it was like 12. Yeah, I do remember that.
yeah, and one of the Star Tribune here is reporting that Minnesota's biggest companies are starting to feel the heat from the ice surge, and that has to do with even people leaving their house and buying things, but
Yeah.
also people coming in and being taken away, illegally by these ice people. How long can that hold up?
I don't know. I don't think it can. Like this is not tenable. And certain places as well, I know that Target is one of the people that is not blocking ICE raids on their
Yeah.
businesses. And can somebody go to Target without, like, even as a consumer, without potentially being taken? And we know now that our status as Native people doesn't matter. They will take us anyways.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you're bringing it up. But I just want to say one more thing about Target before we talk a little bit about that. And again, I'm glad you brought that up. Is that since the DEI thing, we've been boycotting it and talking about boycotting Target, and they've lost a lot of money just for that. So hearing all these things, and I don't want to get too controversial, but we have a tribe here in Minnesota that has hotels down in St. Paul that are doing business with ICE, and I say bad on them. And I know a lot of their members, if not all their members, are really upset with them for the greed and all this. And you talk about we have like 4 Red Lakers got arrested right away, and they weren't even caring about their tribal ID.
No, I mean, because as Native people, we think, where would they deport us to? Like, we don't have another country to be deported to. And they're just like, well, you're vaguely brown, we'll send you to whatever vaguely brown country we want to. And that's absolutely wild. I also heard of 4 Oglala citizens that were taken, and 3 remain in custody, and ICE said that they would not release more information. The only information that the Oglala tribe has on its citizens is their first names, and saying that ICE will not release more information or release them or continue to work with them unless the Oglala Nation signs some kind of agreement with them, which they have no authority to ask for. That
Exactly.
and so Oglala Nation is looking to discuss and make sure that members of people that are affiliated with the federal government understand that the federal government has treaty obligations to tribal nations and tribal people, and that these actions and by not letting tribes try to help their citizens, their people, that they're breaking these treaties.
Yeah, they don't care, and obviously they don't know what they are. And we talk about when things are settled, that we need to really educate our allies and educate people about what a treaty is and what being a sovereign nation is, because we weren't taught that in school, and or taught well enough about that in school. But that goes back to what we were talking about. I saw a report from a reporter who applied for ICE, and she's on Google. You can look her up. She's a leftist, a reporter. She was saying she went through the whole process of being hired without her even knowing it. And that's how they are hiring people, with little or no education, or from their end, little or no follow through. And we talk about we've talked about that there's big possibilities, and there's proof that a lot of the people are January 6 people that are working for Ice Snow, and there's been pictures out there. So the quality of ICE agents is terrible.
I mean, they've said that they've had to deny a lot of their applicants because they did not meet education requirements or the physical requirements needed to be ICE officers, and they're desperate, and they're working to fill all of these jobs to snatch people out of their homes, regardless of their citizenship status, regardless of their if they are immigrants, if they are people being snatched from their green card meetings. I mean, these are people that are doing it in the right way. And again, taking people that are citizens, and this is happening right after all of the Doge, Elon Musk slashing everything. So we have way fewer people to process things that we all need. I am nervous to see what happens this tax season. How are they going to have the people power to execute these functions that everyday Americans need, while instead hiring all like these folks that just want to go out and start something.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martion. She's our political consultant from Wisconsin and a good friend, and hosted the show many times. And we're going to talk a little bit more here. Tearing down this government so it's all run federally, whether it's the Federal Reserve or the Army. These guys are, and I like Chase Iron Eyes said a couple days ago on the show that these guys are diabolical, and the people, not Trump, but the people around are pretty darn smart what the heck they're doing. Yeah. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back. We're at Arvina Martion, and we're talking good stuff. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, our job is to help you find a place for fire. Our displays include over 180 models in diverse styles, and we have over 35 burning displays. Come and experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Some say there are only two seasons in Minnesota, road construction and winter. Hi, this is Laura, and I agree there are two seasons in Minnesota, summer and fireplace season. I bought my wood stove for Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces in 2005, and every season after summer comes the time when we fire up the wood stove, get out our favorite music, and discover the warmth of fire. Our dog Pumpkin remembers the fire too. He stations himself right there, legs up in the air, just enjoying the warmth of the fire. With the wood stove, we are able to keep the main area of the house toasty warm, while the thermostat is set at an energy efficient 64 degrees. Discover your fireplace season. Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 10, then Thursday, snow with a high of 33. Pick up your elegant box of French macarons from Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth, conveniently located off Highway 169 and 36th Avenue. Check out the store in person or place your online order at nicolettesmacarons.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Bobby Wilson. Witcha.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are with our friend Arvina Martion, a political consultant, and our great friend and a groovy ho-chunk. I always want to bring that up because now it's a ho-chunk party right now. Hey, Arvina, I want to just bring up a quick thing and get your comment on this. But, you know, I remember... so I'm 60, almost 65. I'm 64 years old. Still a baby elder.
Not elite yet.
I remember, huh?
I said not elite yet.
No. And I remember Vietnam War, and I remember the colleges and the protests. I lived a block off Summit Avenue where they would march to the Capitol from the University of Minnesota. And now today we had St. Paul Public Schools, and I don't know if there's other schools, but there was a couple thousand students at the Capitol marching, and and yeah, it looks like Minneapolis too, youth, and marching at the state capitol and showing their disgust about what's happening and what's happening to their future.
Yeah, I mean that stories like that are the ones that give me hope and help fill my cup when I am struggling. We had the same thing happen today in Madison with the students of West and East high schools walking out and walking to the Capitol. For those two high schools, it's not a super far walk, and them protesting as well. And it makes me happy to see our young people coming out and speaking out against injustice, but not only that, but taking action, not just being like, yeah, this is recognizing that this is terrible, but using their voices and going to the state capitol. I believe the state capitol it might have been in session today. Unfortunately, I couldn't see because our Wisconsin Eye, which is like our Wisconsin C-SPAN, unfortunately had to shut down. So we don't have any more live coverage of our legislative sessions, which it sucks. But on a small tangent, but these kids having a strong sense of morality and right and wrong, and knowing that what is happening is wrong, that there is no equivocating about this, that they I'm sure that they have to risk unexcused absences, and this sounds very trite compared to what a lot of folks are missing or facing should they put themselves out there. But these students are doing it knowing that there is potential harm to be done to their academic records, having an unexcused absence, maybe missing a test, things like that. And this isn't just, they're going out because they don't want to go to school. These are kids that actually believe in what they are saying and what they are doing, and we need to be paying attention to them.
I haven't been teaching for 5 years, but I just am really proud, and especially to our Native students, but also our BIPOC and students too that seem to really get it. And I just want to give a shout out too to our president, John Greendeer, who January 7th put out a really great post on social media. And it's great to have great leaders like that understand, what's going on and are really appalled and are right with us. We got to, in the Twin Cities, we have like over a couple hundred enrolled Ho-Chunk citizens here. And then in Minneapolis, there's 75,000 natives here with 115 tribes recognized here besides the 11 tribes in this state.
Yeah. And you can easily see that, these ICE officers are not being taught. I mean, I'm sure it's deliberate about Native people. And they're, I know that when actress Elaine Miles was detained, she showed them her tribal ID and he's like, I think it's fake. How do I know that's real? Well, you should have been trained, first of all, to know that, what tribal IDs look like. Maybe you could go and look online, and see if it's a real tribe. They're just, well, we don't know what that is. So you're screwed. And that's not appropriate. And in a city with such a substantial Native population, to not even be able to recognize the IDs of nations from Minnesota or from Minnesota and Wisconsin and the Dakotas and Iowa, they're supposed to be doing this research beforehand. They are supposed to be trained beforehand. If this was, they should be. And if this was something that was done in a legit way and done with good intentions, I'm using the largest air quotes I can use for good intentions. They would be doing everything they could to make sure that they were not, detaining people that have a legal status here, whether it is citizenship or legally immigrating. They say that they're trying to collect the worst criminals out there, and then they're shooting mothers in the face.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. I mean,
I don't think that a single person can say that they are safer because of these actions. I mean, we as a whole are far more unsafe because of their actions.
Absolutely. And I know they're circling around the same neighborhood. And then that was only 4 blocks from where George Floyd was murdered. And there's a app out there, and I don't know if you know this, but I've been kind of talking about it, especially since yesterday when it was brought up, but called iceout.org. And you can see where every one of the ICE agents are. And it's amazing to look at it right now because it's full in Minnesota. It's up north. They're down south to the east, and then even the Hudson area in Wisconsin. So we have in the Twin Cities, we talked about this too, that there's more ICE agents and police in combined for St. Paul and Minneapolis. Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
And I don't know the specific tribes, but I know that there have been, I've seen posts saying that, ICE has been reported in tribal communities here in Wisconsin as well. I mean, yes. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make good radio, but it makes me speechless.
No, it does make good radio because you're speaking your truth. And again, I always like to bring up how important you are and all the other guests that come on the show, because what they want us to do is they want us to give up. They want us to say, "Oh my gosh, I got." And there is a point where you do have to watch the Golden Girls, and I've brought that up a couple times this week because it is a thing, and you have to decompress and get away from social media and do things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fitting the definition of stochastic terrorism. That's a hard phrase to say when your mouth is dry, but they're trying to overwhelm us. I mean, this is by design to overwhelm us. So when they do want to take over, like they're doing now, that we just acquiesce because we are tired and defeated already. So, I think about that a lot. And when I start feeling like things are, hopeless or the things that we are doing are not helping, any act of resistance does help. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
It's showing this administration that we are not going to be bullied by them. And we are not going to buy into their narrative of fear-mongering, and know that we know that the fear that we have is for them. And that's also by design. They do want us to be afraid of them, and so it's overwhelming by design. And we have to remember that. And I know that I talk about that a lot and taking care of ourselves, but this is going to be such a long journey. We've this is a fight that's going to have to go on for a lot longer than probably any of us expect, especially when it comes to undoing the damage that has been done. Whether it's legislatively at the state level, at the federal level, at the city or county level, it's going to take us a lot to get back to a place where Americans feel safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And that was going to be one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too, because, there's going to be retribution to these ICE agents once Trump's gone. But when is that going to be? And how much do we need to lean on our government to fight back? The citizens sure are. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. And like local law agencies in Minneapolis are being deliberately cut out of the investigation. The federal government does not want an investigation into the murder of Nicole Good. They don't want Minneapolis police or county sheriffs or any of that state patrol involved in any investigation. They want the investigation to come from them and for us all to swallow the pill that they will try to give to us. And it's really scary. And people saying, why can't the Minneapolis police do anything? Well, they can't investigate if they don't have any of the materials, and normally when law enforcement wants to pursue investigations, they work together. And that's clear that's not happening. It's clear that it didn't happen from the beginning. And again, shows that this is being done in bad faith because they're not including local law enforcement. I mean, if they did, it would be a completely different situation and understanding of how things are on the ground.
Absolutely. Hey, we are here with Arvina Martion, our political consultant. Last segment here. And Arvina, I want to just talk about in the next segment, what we can do, and then talk about services that you can help out with people that are needing to know more about tribes and tribe rights and things like that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in our last segment. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern, Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations, and Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back. We are here with our friend Arvina Martion, who's our political consultant here. And before we get into the nitty gritty of what kind of things that you do and services you have, I just want to bring this up. Our friend Allison, who I've met, said, can you talk about the Ice Out in Minnesota on January 23rd? And what I want to do is talk about that. The Ice Out of Minnesota, Day of Truth and Freedom. No work, no school, no shopping. And it's going to be a march in Minneapolis. And we've all seen the news on social media or even in our neighborhoods. ICE violent and lawless enforcement surge is underway in Minnesota, and the cost of life of Renee Nicole Good, it continues to tear apart families. And, we're just going to be marching, and look for that. And it's called Ice Out Minnesota, a Day of Truth and Freedom. And it's a Friday, and there's no working, no going to school. That's shut this, we talked a little bit, Arvina, about the economy. That's shut this economy down here in Minnesota, and really make a stand.
Unfortunately, I think a lot the only way some people will get it through their heads is if they suffer financially. The people that are in charge, or the people that paid to get the president elected, for them to start losing money. Yeah. That kind of economic impact is a big deal. I know also for folks in the Madison area, or who are close to the Madison area, the Madison Labor Temple is also doing a kind of community action fair. Again, at the Madison Labor Temple, which is at 1602 South Park Street, number 106, from 2 to 7 p.m. They're doing trainings about knowing your rights, screen printing, banner making, and also collecting goods that they are going to transport up to Minneapolis. Folks, they're also looking for financial donations. You can contact them as as well to find out where to donate, but they are looking for actual donation things like over-the-counter medication, menstrual products, canned food, mac and cheese, ramen, toiletries, and such. And there's also I wanted to mention a new website for those of us who are not in Minnesota, can't go to Minnesota, how we can help. It is standwithminnesota.com, and it has tons of resources of organizations that are on the ground doing the work, that are looking for financial support. They have mutual aid funds, GoFundMes, and other kinds of financial support to both individuals and families, but also to organizations. And also has a lot of information and testimonials about what is actually happening on the ground. So I would encourage everybody who can't be there to help to go and find some of those resources that they can contribute to. It'll help, even if you can contribute $5, that does help. It does help move the needle. And there is no such thing as a small donation when it comes to actions like these.
Yeah, and that's a great point here. People in the Twin Cities too, Minneapolis especially, if you can, go to the powwow grounds, and that's where everything's happening, where Minnesota urban Indian directors are holding court and coordinating. That's where American Indian Movement are holding court, and there's a sacred fire there. But they're also taking donations, and I know I brought in some money donations so that the people that are walking the neighborhood and trying to protect our neighborhood can have a free cup of coffee or donuts. So reach out to the powwow grounds too. And Arvina, that was really great that you brought that up, because I almost forgot.
Yeah, it just happened shortly before the show started. It popped up on my Facebook feed, and I was really glad to see both of those options posted that I in time for me to mention them today, but also because it's so hard to feel so helpless from far away. And and sometimes it's better to contribute to people that can then get the resources there than go yourself. It's more efficient. Again, you worry about those outside agitator types that may be going in with a good heart, but don't have that connection to the community, so are not going to care for it in the same way that local residents are. But it helps. It makes it's good for our souls to be able to help in this really trying. I mean, to call it a trying time seems, reductive. I mean, this is big, and probably and an escalation, and I fear that it points to more actions and worse actions. I mean, you could even think about it in terms of the whole Greenland issue. Where we have more Native people, more Native Greenlanders. I believe they are mostly, if not all, Inuit folks. And we don't want them to be governed by people they don't want to be governed. Those are our brothers and sisters as well. And they should have, self-determination as well. And it's just, I don't want it to get worse, but I feel like it will. And we need to be prepared, and we need to, be ready to do what we can in order to protect our democracy. Like, this is not, big talk or dramatic talk. Like, this is a moment that we need to live up to.
Well, also too, Arvina, what I was thinking as you were talking too was that this is a precursor to Election Day. We're going to have this kind of ICE thing happening all over the place, arresting people trying to vote. And so we need to really, really talk about this and be ready. I just got to say this too before we talk about you, Arvina, is that this show started because of Standing Rock and all the misinformation. So again, people like you coming on and speaking and talking and telling our listening audience, because the way, mainstream media has been taken over is so important. It's important to have civic media. It's important to have AM 950 here in the Twin Cities, and it's important to have you. And I remember, because the show started because of Stan Urek, I remember when people needed help and really messed with the police out there, over 100,000 people checked in at Standing Rock one night, and I remember that. And that's things like that we can do if we can't show up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's okay if you can't show up. There are reasons. We can't. Not everybody can take time off from work to leave and go assist. So
Arvina, we got less than a minute here. I want people to be able to get a hold of you, to hire you to come speak to their businesses, to their nations, or help their political people. You do it all. And how can people get a hold of you?
Yes, find me on LinkedIn. I am the only Arvina Martion there. Because my personal email inbox is MS, and I will be more likely to see your message there. And yes, I do presentations, trainings on how to run for office, the things that you need to think about when you're thinking about running for office, how electeds need to properly work with tribes as peer governments, and how to be involved and active and engage in Indian country.
Well, again, Pinigigi, thank you so much, Arvina. That was a whole hour, and I really, really appreciate you. And we'll be talking soon. And thanks again. It's just amazing. And Pinigigi, and stay safe.
Yeah, absolutely, you too, and everybody in the cities, stay safe.
Hey, tomorrow we have Lieutenant Governor's husband on, and we got a couple other guests from Minneapolis or Minnesota, murdered and missing Indigenous relatives office. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no